Alright crew, I think we did it. We melded the Unkillable Arc 3.0 Titan, and it's actually pretty crazy because I didn't think that Arc was capable of this. But as you can see in the gameplay, we are seriously tanking everything and even healing through it. Also, we're 17 power level under in this master level content at 1600 power, but this Arc Titan just doesn't care about any of that. Why doesn't our Titan care about it, you might ask? That's because of Kintsugi. Whoa, Plunder, what the heck does Kintsugi mean? Kintsugi is the Japanese art of putting broken pottery pieces back together with gold. Built on the idea that embracing flaws and imperfections, you can create an even stronger, more beautiful piece of art. And at the bottom there it says, sometimes in the process of repairing things that have broken, we actually create something more unique, beautiful, and resilient. And that's exactly what we have done with the Arc Titan, melded different pieces to create something unique, fun, and really strong to play. What makes this possible is we are stacking a ton of damage reduction, and I mean a ton. Just wait till you see it all. It's coming from 5 different sources, and we can throw on an exotic weapon to add more, which you will see in a minute, to make it 6 different damage reduction sources. But even though we're so tanky, we have to be able to heal, or tanking all that damage doesn't really mean anything, and we'll just end up dying. So we have added 3 different ways to heal within this build, and all procced in different ways, which is nice because you can always have a different source of healing when you need it. So when we combine that much damage reduction stacking and then the healing aspect on top of it, the result is what you're watching on screen. And oh, we're still dealing with all the annoying champions, so this Arc build can cover all fronts. Another thing as well that is really unique with this build is that you can also heal your teammates, which we're not even doing obviously because we're solo, but that's just another layer we can add to it if you're running with a fire team. If you're new here and found this video helpful or enjoyable, then make sure to hit that subscribe button for me and become part of the crew here. Also, if you want a one-stop shop to all of my builds like you see on screen, then click the link in the pinned comment and you'll get a bunch of extra perks for becoming a member, like the members only Discord section where people talk back and forth with me. For our class ability, make sure you're using the new one, Thruster. This has the quickest cooldown, and we're going to be taking advantage of this thing a lot to add to the fluid gameplay and then to picking up wells and doing some different things to add a bunch of damage reduction. So Thruster is definitely the way to go with this build. Also for your melee, I personally still like Thunderclap, and I think on Tuesday this is supposed to be fixed where it's better registration on when you're doing your charged and your non-charged version. So I still like Thunderclap, but you can trade this out if you want to. And then Pulse Grenade is definitely the grenade you should be taking advantage of here. It creates a bunch of ionic traces, as you can see in the gameplay. It also increases in damage, and that's all just alone with the aspect. You don't need an exotic to add anything to that grenade. Speaking of aspects, we have Touch of Thunder, and that's going to increase that pulse grenade, create the ionic traces periodically as it damages targets, and increases in damage over time. This creates a ton of ionic traces from one champion, like up to 6 of them easily, and that's just going to feed our whole ability loop as well. And then in our second aspect, we're using Knockout. When we critically wound something or break a shield, we get increased melee range and damage for a short time. The main part I like about this with Thunderclap is defeating targets with melee attacks start health regeneration and makes you amplified. So we can get amplified from it, and we get an extra source of healing with this build. Now for the aspects, Spark of Resistance, 25% extra damage reduction all the time. We're always surrounded by enemies, so we're going to always be taking advantage of this. This is just another source of damage reduction for the build. Spark of Shock, your arc grenades jolt targets, so now we can jolt everything around because we're damaging the jolted target. And then Spark of Ions, defeating a jolted target creates ionic trace. Pairing this with Pulse Grenade and Touch of Thunder, we're just getting a ton of ionic traces from grenades. And then Spark of Magnitude, your lingering arc grenades, which is our pulse grenade, have extended duration. For your stats on the build, you want to aim for 100 resilience, 100 discipline, and as high as recovery as possible. In the gameplay that you watched, I was at 100 resilience, 100 discipline, and 60 recovery. For our weapons, we're just going to take an arc primary. That way we can take advantage of our exotic perk on our armor that we're going to be using that's going to heal us. But the weapon can be anything from the Ikelos SMG that you saw me using in the gameplay. I had Demolitionist on mine. You could be using Risk Runner with that added damage reduction to arc and then get that procced, right? And you can proc it off yourself with your pulse grenade. So Risk Runner is a really good choice for this build if you guys do have it. You could use one of the new seasonal weapons with the jolt on it. Those work great as well. I tested both of those. You can use the arc auto rifle Sweet Sorrow with Demolitionist. A lot of different options for the weapon. I even tried 2 different grenade launchers in my secondary slot and they worked great. And the reason you want that arc weapon is because we're going to be using the exotic Precious Scars. This is a Titan helmet, and the exotic intrinsic perk is Kintsugi, which, yep, you guessed it from the beginning of the video. Now this is final blows from weapons with a damage type matching your subclass energy create a burst of healing around you. After receiving or being revived, you gain an aurora that provides overshields to you and nearby allies. So the healing actually heals your allies, and then you have the reviving portion animation, which we didn't take advantage of any of those two, but basically every 3 seconds when you get an arc kill, you will receive 60% HP after getting that kill. So when you see that our health bar jumps and jumps and jumps in the gameplay, that's why. So you can heal from this helmet, you can also heal from the melee within the subclass, and then on top of that, we're gonna add a third source of healing as well. On to the mods next, and pay attention because they're important. We get a ton of damage resistance and healing with all the different mods that we're working together, and get that class ability back quick. Okay, so I know my tie-in isn't gold, but it was for the thumbnail, so I changed it, but normally it's gold, okay? On the helmet, you want Well of Tenacity. Picking up a Void Elemental Well reduces the damage you take from combatants for a short period of duration. This is a 40 or 50% damage reduction, so quite a lot, and it stacks on everything else, right? So we definitely want this extra damage reduction, and we're gonna make this damage reduction last like 12 seconds. So all you have to do is pick up a Void Well every 12 seconds, and as you can see in the gameplay, we did it easily. Harmonic Siphon to create Orbs of Power, and we're gonna need these Orbs of Power later. For our gauntlets, we're going with Reaping Well Maker. After activating your class ability, your next weapon final blow on a combatant spawns a Void Elemental Well. This can be any weapon, and then my other mods are just for champions, so use whatever ones you want within here. On the chest piece, another Well of Tenacity, also more damage reduction, so make sure you have Thermoshock plating on for that damage reduction, and then I had sniper damage resistance for those snipers in that lost sector. On your boots, I had Bountiful Wells, so every time we kill an enemy, it's spawning 2 Void Wells after we use our class ability. And then because we were creating those Orbs of Power on our helmet with our arc weapons, we have Recuperation, so we replenish health each time we pick up an Orb of Power, and then Innervation to add more grenade energy each time we pick up an Orb of Power. Elemental Time Dilation on the mark here is Elemental Well mods that grant you time-limited benefits can now stack, increasing the duration of the effect for each copy of the mod you have equipped. So Well of Tenacity, when we pick up that Void Well, it's now lasting 12 seconds because we have this on, and we have one on our helmet, and I believe it was one on our chest piece, yep. So that's what's making it last so long, and then all you have to do is dodge, use your thruster, and get another kill before the 12 seconds is up to just keep re-procking that. That's what makes us so tanky, on top of the resilience, on top of the extra damage reduction from the chest piece mods, on top of the damage reduction from resistance, right? So we have all that damage reduction, and then we heal from melees, we heal from our exotic, we heal from Orbs of Power. There's just so many different ways to keep you alive with this build. And then we have double utility kickstart here to make that thruster come back even quicker. You could go without any of these and still get it back easily in like 8 seconds because of the 2 Void Wells we're picking up. But this just helps with the ability loop, and then we also have a Surge Detonator to make our arc grenades stun overloads. That helps as well with those champions. Again, for the armor, 100 resilience, 100 discipline, 60 recovery. Weapons, again, I already went over that, but use whatever you guys want. Risk Runner works really good. I tried Forbearance, awesome. The new Jolt on weapons works great. I tried Salvage Salvo, anything you want there that's arc, just to keep up your healing from your exotic. I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy it, and a comment down below, or maybe a comment over in the members Discord section if you want to talk to me.